Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated on providing you the how-tos of marketing and networking strategies. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning into this last episode of Perspective of Black Lives. It was an absolute pleasure doing this. And just to give you some context, today is August 28th. So just a little less than 2 months that I decided to put these episodes together. I want to send a special thank you for all of those that I had conversations with, going back to psychotherapist Brandon Jones. Please check this brother out. After the interview, he launched his own podcast called The Woke Podcast. And he also released an audiobook. I think it came out the same week, but I'll be sure to have that in the notes. John P. Comer from Baltimore, which I learned a lot from him when it came to minimum wage and that the felons have an opportunity to vote in Baltimore. I was very impressed with that. I even brought that to attention to some colleagues here in Houston, and it's quite a shocker to us. And I believe just this past week, Virginia has also passed that law that felons can vote. And I think that's a great thing. I think anyone that has served their time and they're innocent, I say innocent, but that they served their time and there wasn't a major crime, I definitely believe they have a second chance. And I hope America can get to that point where we can hire those individuals as well. And then I had Michelle Talbert, a brilliant woman, very talented lady. And we got a lot of great comments and feedback from that interview as we talked about women influence in social media. And I definitely want to encourage you, if you're a young lady considering entrepreneurship, check out the Her Power Hustle platform, a very engaged community that can allow you to learn a lot when it comes to not just business, but yourself as well. Now, I definitely have to send an apology out. I did one interview with Jay Jones. He's the host of Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Very intelligent brother. I've learned so much from him over the past year and a half by listening to his podcast. And unfortunately, I had audio issues. We did the interview twice, but unfortunately, I just couldn't get it right on my end. So I do want to send an apology. But I'll say this. If you are looking to start a business, whether it's on Amazon, online, information products, retail, a kiosk at the mall, like this brother has done it all. He has a wealth of knowledge, and he is very generous when it comes to providing all of that information on his podcast. And even some of the guest interviews that he does. And one thing he also does that I like is he'll replay other interviews. I've learned a lot. Recently, he played the Byron Allen interview. Byron Allen I believe, started out as a comedian, actor, and now he owns a lot of the movies, TV shows, and TV stations that we like. Byron Allen is the face behind that, and that was an interesting interview. So I definitely want you to check that out. Also, Jay Jones is selling T-shirts. There is stating there is no revolution without economics, and those proceeds, a portion, if not 100% of those proceeds, will be donated to an African American nonprofit organization. I hope that through these interviews that I was able to provide you with some different perspectives. Everyone's always asking, what can I do? What can I do to help? I want to play my part. We need to do something. And I do think that's a hard question because a lot of us were already busy in some shape or form, right? Whether you're a student, you're single, you have a family. A lot of us are busy. A lot of us have a plate full. And I just believe that we can keep doing what we're doing. But if you're able to have this conversation with your family and friends, right? If you're able to take out a moment to, if you have the extra money, can you set aside that $2,500 and move it to a Black owned bank without stretching yourself? Can you volunteer with a nonprofit, African American community based nonprofit organization that is working towards pushing us further, that we may have better opportunities? I really think right now our community needs us to create and circulate wealth and knowledge. And the best way we can do that is by investing our time and our money. Now, what does that look like? Is various forms, right? And I think lots of times we want people to, everyone's saying stay woke, which I think is very important, but we're wanting people to change, right? We're wanting that person that is a real estate agent to become like this political pundit within the African American community. And that stuff doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, it takes progress, it takes a desire, then the initiative. But I do feel that if you're, when it comes to these messages, when it comes to these issues within the African American community, how can you address those issues while staying in your own lane? And, that's something I was dealing with when I started this, and that's why I made it a bonus episode, because I didn't want to feel like I was taken away from the business aspect. But I do have this platform, and the attention is here, so why not, right? To me, that's easy. I'm staying in my own lane versus me taking time out to do something else that would make me possibly uncomfortable and very green in the situation. I hope I'm making sense to y'all. Just because there's always those conversations where I don't want to march, or marching's not doing anything. And I understand that marching is not for you. Everything is not for you. But at the same time, what can you do? How can you incorporate these messages or issues into your current life? That's just so important to me. And I think if we can do that, and as time goes on, we'll continue to find ways to evolve as a community. And I believe that structure will come into place sooner than later. A couple of weeks ago, I had a retreat with my leadership organization, and I think it was about 40 to 50 of us there. And one of my colleagues came up to me and she's like, I have an idea. It was a great idea, and I definitely plan on finding ways to back her with that idea. But we had this retreat, and there was so much information shared to us about the landscape of the city of Houston. Privileged information. And the city of Houston is shifting in such a way that if you're on the local economic level, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard. And I was just telling her, I don't know how to combat that situation right now. Okay. But I was telling her, she had an idea, and I wasn't knocking her idea. But I did say this. I do think as Black people, we always want to start something. And I don't know if everyone has a different reason behind it, right? And I don't know if people want to brag about, I'm gonna. I don't know if people want to brag with the thought of ownership of, I have my nonprofit, I have my own business. Everyone has their own reasons and their whys to wanting to start something. But I also think if you start something, you can't start something to be sexy. We have to stop being sexy. We have to get our hands dirty, do the grunt work. And if that's hitting the pavement, you got to hit the pavement. And I understand that's not for everybody, but I do feel that if you want to start something, or if you want to go into something at the entry level form, if you haven't paid your dues, you have to do the dirty work before you can become sexy. And that dirty work can look a number of ways. Everything is different. However you decide to give back to the community, whether it's reading books at the elementary school, whether it's donating money to an organization, supporting at least one Black business a month, however you decide to do it, just do it if you can. Just do it if it's within your means. Society is very aware of how resilient we are as African Americans. Society is very aware of how dynamic we are as African Americans. And they had a chance to catch a glimpse of that at the Olympics. And one of my good friends, Mr. Newbie, he posted this on Facebook, I believe either the night before or the night that the Olympics ended. And I'm just going to read this to you. He stated, if Black America were an internationally recognized nation, it would have ranked 5th in the overall medal count among the 205 competing nations. As it stands, Black Americans have won a total of 53 medals in 37 events, including 35 gold, 12 silver, and 6 bronze. These amazing accomplishments goes to show that the only thing that separates us from greatness is exposure to new endeavors and the support to see them through. So we had a dialogue, and I asked him, he just happened to know. Well, let me back up. The same day he posted this, I was literally driving around, and I believe it was the same night that our USA track and field relay team won, and there was a meme going around with the track and field team, and there was another one with the track and field team. Simone Manuel, the swimmer from Sugar Land, Texas, and Gabby and Simone from Spring, Texas, the gymnast. And I was just like, wow, like Black women dominated this year in the Olympics. And then we also had, I believe, Michelle Carter from Dallas doing the shot put. And so I just mentioned that in the comments, and he was like, 24 of the 35 gold medals were earned by our beautiful Black women. And he stated that he counts the women's basketball team as one gold. If we were a nation competing in the Olympics, we would have been number 5 out of 205 nations, competing nations. That's one thing, right? 2, we won 53 medals and 37 events. And then we won 35 gold medals, and then 24 of those 35 gold medals were held by our women. And when he told me that, all I could do was laugh, because I was like, I knew I needed to record this podcast. And I wanted to definitely mention the Olympics and just the overall dominance we had. And I was like, wow, man, this is crazy, because I initially started this idea, the week of 4th of July, when Alva Brazil, Philando Castile, Alton Sterling, Delron Small, these guys, our Black men, were shot by police. And then fast forward to less than 2 months, our women dominate in the Olympics. Now, I don't know what the correlation is. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the fact that we're resilient people in spite of. That these women, our athletes, were making history today, 2016, making history in spite of all the bad history we have experienced. And I think the Olympics could not have come at a better time. I think we needed this in all levels. I think we needed this reminder. We needed this push. We needed this encouragement. And it was a beautiful thing to even see when these Black folks were winning these medals, and you're looking at the Facebook comments, like white people were supporting us. White people were saying, congratulations, she has a great story. We can do this. This is the America I love. And I wonder why and where is the disconnect. And I'm sure we all have our various answers. We know the reasons to that. But we have those moments, we are able to get past that. White folks are able to get past that. And I just wish we had more of those moments. And I know the Olympics can't be 365 days, but it was really nice. It was really, really nice those 2 weeks that the Olympics were going on. And it's just crazy to me. But look, I'm very grateful for having the opportunity to do this. Um, a couple of things. I go back and forth on whether or not this should be a standalone podcast. I kind of feel like, things kept coming up. Corrine Gaines, a woman from Baltimore, August 1st, police raided her apartment, killed her, shot her 5-year-old son. God bless him as he's been able to live and tell his story. We have Charles Kinsey, the mental health therapist who was out looking for the autistic boy that was playing with the fire truck in the middle of the street. This gentleman laid down on the ground with his hands up, identified himself, first, last name, his profession, why he's out in the street looking for this autistic boy. The police shot him and then said, I don't know. Well, I meant to shoot the autistic boy. Either way, it's not right. Here in Houston, Texas, we have the white supremacists, for the lack of a better word, on August 21st or 22nd, protesting, having a rally in front this was on a Sunday, in front of the NAACP office. It's just crazy, and things continue to happen. And I kind of feel like as long as things continue to happen, we got to have this conversation. And is this podcast the way to have this conversation? I don't know, but if you can help me answer that, I would appreciate it. You can reach out to me, info@michellegourmet.com. Let me know. But with that being said, I do appreciate all of those people that took the extra time to email me, text me, call me, comment on Facebook, share on Facebook. You are truly appreciated. And with the way social media is right now, reach is so important. And I hope as you took time to share, and hopefully even had a dialogue about these shows, whether it's on Facebook or in person, I thank you. Because at the end of the day, I just want to reach the people. And at this point, whether it's about Black lives or business, I don't care. I just want to be able to reach the people. And on the flip side, people ask me, why am I doing this? Am I spoiling my brand? And it was on my heart. I was compelled to do it. And the thank yous that I received were much greater than those that questioning me. But I will say this. There is something that is bigger than me. It's bigger than Michelle. It's bigger than business. It's bigger than marketing. And at the core, it's me being an African American woman that has the privilege to live, the privilege to survive, the privilege to be alive, the privilege to have a strong African mom. That if I do have questions about my culture or my heritage, I'm lucky to go to her. Whether good or bad, when it comes to my experiences, my history, I'm lucky enough to go to my mom. The other day, I feel like I'm getting off topic, but the other day, I was talking to a friend and she's talking about slavery. And I was like, look, they don't teach slavery in Africa. And she was surprised by that. And she's like, how do you know? And I was like, my mom is African. They don't teach slavery in Africa. And I was like, I felt like I needed to make sure. So I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, did you learn about slavery in school? And she just laughed at me. And she was like, no. She's like, I knew nothing about slavery. She's like, I knew when I came here, I was coming to the white man's country. She said it wasn't until she came here that as time went on, she heard about slavery, as well as, of course, Jim Crow laws and all of that type of stuff, the civil rights. So, look, man, all I can say is there are things that are bigger than me that I represent, and I have to be attached to that.
And I must honestly confess that I go through those moments of disappointment when I have to recognize the fact that there aren't enough white persons in our country who are willing to cherish democratic principles over privilege. But I'm grateful to God that some are left. And I say to you that our goal is freedom. I believe we're going to get there, however difficult it is. And I believe we're going to get there because however much she strays away from it, the goal of America is freedom. And our destiny is tied up with the destiny of America. Abused and scorned though we may be as a people, our destinies are tied together. Before the Pilgrim Fathers landed at Plymouth, we were here. Before Jefferson etched across the pages of history the majestic words of the Declaration of Independence, we were here. Before the beautiful words of the Star-Spangled Banner were written, we were here. And for more than 2 centuries, our forebears labored here without wages. They made cotton king. They built the homes of their masters in the midst of the most humiliating and exploitative conditions, and yet out of a bottomless vitality, they continued to grow and develop. And if the inexpressible cruelties of slavery couldn't stop us, the opposition that we now face, including the so-called white backlash, will surely fail. We're going to win our freedom. We're going to win our freedom because both the sacred heritage of our nation and the eternal will of the Almighty God are embodied in our echoing demands. And so together we will work until we make America one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.